Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Um, I thought it'd be very interesting and very nice to do a review on the Mustang Alpha. The Mustang Alpha, for those of you who don't know, is one of the starter ships in the game, and is also the cheapest starter ship package along with the Aurora MR. And I was looking around myself to actually get a game package. I got it during Christmas, so I was looking around trying to decide what to get, and I basically settled on the Alpha, and this video is going to be explaining basically why I chose the Alpha and why it's better than the Aurora MR, and actually it's quite a decent starter ship for someone who's brand new to the game. It's maybe not as good for people who are experienced with the game or have played it before a lot and then decide to get the Mustang, but I'll come into that a bit later. So anyway, I did a review very recently on the Titan, and it got a mixed bag of reviews. A lot of people didn't seem to like it, and in truth I hadn't played too much of the game at that point because I was playing during the free fly event, so I'd had like a week with the ship, and to be honest I was new, so I was kind of faffing around a lot of the time, wasn't really like hardcore testing the ship. So I'd love to do another sort of video and give it another go essentially, because I do think it's still overrated. It's not a bad ship necessarily, but I think that there are just other options that are better, because it's at that point you're going to specialise maybe a bit more into cargo or a bit more into combat, and so, but maybe that's another video. I've got to still test it out in loads of stuff and I suppose give it a fair review. So yeah, hopefully that'll be out at some point. But let's focus on the Alpha for now. So there are a couple of reasons why I bought the Alpha. Before we get into the actual technical stuff, I want to say that the Alpha, in terms of store credit, costs $5 more than the Aurora MR, I think, or maybe it's £5 and like $7 more. So straight off the bat, if you want to get your money's worth, quite literally, get the Mustang Alpha over the MR, because it's worth more in store credit. So if you then want to upgrade, it won't cost you as much. So if you're going to buy a starter ship but then know eventually you're going to upgrade it into something better, then get the Alpha, because you're just going to get more for your money essentially. But anyway, let's talk about the ship. I've had it for a month now, so hopefully this will be a more accurate representation of the ship itself. So let's start with the weapons here. These are two size 2 M3A laser autocannons, I believe. They're gimbaled, they're on a turret here, so that's good. On the wings there are 2 hard points here, one size 1, which is that one there I believe, and a size 3 missile rack can go on that one I believe. So when you can upgrade this ship, should you wish to, for combat, it's actually quite a nice loadout you can have. It's going to be similar to that of the Delta, I suppose, is what you're going to be looking at. And the Delta's quite a nice combat ship to start off with. Yeah, it can't really take a lot of hits, but it's got good DPS. The ship actually itself looks really good. Got some cool landing wheels there, which allows you to do a rolling start, should you wish to. Obviously it's not something you're going to be using that often perhaps, but I don't know, something interesting. The wings fold up here. That was part of the rework for the Alpha, so it makes it a lot more compact should you wish to shove it in something like an 890 jump perhaps. Although for its size, it's still got quite a large profile, because you've got like this sticky out like wing here. The engines themselves for a ship of this size are ridiculously like long, they stick out a long way. If the engines ended here, obviously it would look horrible, but the benefit is you could cram more of these into a small hangar, maybe like an 890 or like a Polaris when that comes in. So yes, it's still relatively small, but bear in mind if you really want to cram a ship in somewhere, these like wings and the large engines make it a bit difficult. It's got a cargo bay at the back here. I'll just show you how it all works. Press this button here and it lowers down. There we go. So this is 4 SU of cargo. Now unfortunately you can't use it for like carrying boxes, which means you can't do those kind of missions, which is a bit of a shame because they seem like, you know, you do those missions quite a lot if you were starting out. But yeah, you can't like just put the box on top or, you know, take these out. The only way you're getting cargo in there is like through the terminal. So that is a bit of a shame, but it's still useful to have for a sea of cargo. While I just wouldn't bother doing any cargo runs, I would definitely, if I wanted to see what it was like the process of actually buying it, selling it, trying to figure out how you make money, it's definitely going to be interesting for those new players who perhaps want to give cargo running a go. You've got something to like test run it out essentially before you upgrade to something that's got a bit more. Because realistically, you're going to spend a lot of your costs on fuel and weapons if you get attacked, and the profit isn't just going to be enough from for a sea of cargo. But it's nice to have. I mean, in the future I suppose we'll be able to pick up stuff from wrecks, or just stuff we find on the ground and hopefully store that in there. So yeah, it's definitely useful to have for a sea of cargo, and it's neatly tucked away as well. It doesn't really ruin the aesthetic of the ship too much. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the exterior. I'm going to hop into the interior now and talk about a couple of things that make it ideal almost for a starter ship. Nice little animation here, getting in. Very simple, just walk up to the side. Right, here we go. First thing to comment on is the viewing angles in the Mustang series in general are fantastic. Sorry about that glitch there, by the way. I don't know if it's a glitch with the armor I'm wearing or the seat or something, but yeah, it's a bit kind of weird how this all works. So looking up currently is a bit of a problem, but other than that, the viewing angles are so good. Like if you want to look down here, all you've got to do is tilt your ship a little bit and you'll be able to look almost vertically down, should you be like cruising over a planet or something. So that makes it very good for a starter ship. It's easy to see where you're going, easy to land, that kind of stuff. Another reason I think it's actually a very good choice for a starter ship is everything's very like close together. Everything's neatly laid out, all the buttons and stuff. You know, the ejection seat is down here obviously, but other than that, all your major controls are just lined up here. So open pilot canopy, ladder, exterior and unlock, flight ready and power on, and engines. Easy, simple, no like trying to search for the right button, trying to figure out which is which on some panels that you do on other ships. Easy, concise. So if you're brand new to the game, it can be a bit confusing to start off with when you're watching these other people with, you know, huge dashboards on their bigger ships. Having something just neatly packed together can be quite nice. And let's turn it on and show you the screens.
Welcome. Your journey begins now. All systems operational.
Nice voice for the Mustang series, very clear. And yeah, let's look at these. You've got 4 screens here, all very close together with your targeting radar. This is another reason why it's a good ship, because it's just easy to see everything. It's all close together. All you have to do is simply just look down and you get all your information. And also it allows for players to sort of mess around and get to grips with all these different options, what they do, what kind of stuff they want to see, how they want to lay it out. And that's why it's good for a starship, because it's just quite simple and easy to use. It's very user friendly, which a lot of people kind of overlook when going for starter ships. If people are new to the game, they might be going for one with, yeah, the best guns or the best shields or something, but they get in there and maybe they get confused by the controls. So it's just nice to have it all simple, laid out in front of you. And like we said, the viewing angles are pretty incredible. So let's quickly take off and fly around. I'm currently at Ariel at the moment, one of the moons around Hurston, in case you guys were wondering. So actually let's show you the landing legs going up. There we go, nice animation. Of course, wings fold down. Definitely a good looking ship. The rework has done it some done it some justice, I think. Not that the bad Mustang was particularly ugly, it was definitely a good looking ship, but it's just nice that they've updated it a lot, and you can definitely tell this is the newer ship. So one of the benefits of the Mustang series over the Aurora is that they're very fast and very manoeuvrable. Got a great roll rate, very easy, manoeuvrable, great for combat of course. Let's get her up into space real quick actually. Let's have a look, see if we can... What have we got here? OM would be good. No? Over here maybe? Come on, there's got to be an OM somewhere. Here we go.
Quantum travel engaged.
So yeah, you can really start to see the benefits of all these viewing angles,
Complete.
especially in space. I mean, this is just awesome, being able to see so much. Because usually in ships there's like panels and bars and stuff, so you can't really see to the side that much, or especially down here. Going to be great for exploration of course. But let's talk about combat. Now obviously if you're a new player you're going to want to give everything a go, including combat. So let's talk about some problems I've had with combat, because the ship isn't particularly bad for combat, but its standard loadout is a bit weak in my opinion. One of the first upgrades ideally I think you should do is chuck some weapons on those size 1 hard points under the wings there, just to give you an extra bit of firepower. But I'll show you the weapons now, the laser cannons. Quite slow rate of fire, but of course the trade-off for that is higher damage. Whether you prefer that or not, it's going to be up to personal player preference, but in my opinion I'd stick some laser repeaters on here, just because I prefer a higher rate of fire, and especially for a nimble ship where you might be missing a lot of your shots, especially if you're new. You know, having a higher rate of fire weapon is going to do you a lot better, I reckon, just because you're going to be landing more shots and getting to grips with how weapons work. The weapons are turreted as well, so massive firing arcs left and right here. Takes a while for them to turn, but fantastic range of fire. Very high, obviously can't see how low, but definitely use auto gimbal during combat, which for those of you who don't know is this screen here. If you press R by default, from once you'll fix them, and if you press it twice like this, your HUD will look like this, and they'll auto gimbal, which means they'll basically track with their target. Definitely useful in combat, and one of the only reasons it's basically a viable option, to be honest. Not that the weapons are bad, but having auto gimbals is very useful. Again, something that perhaps newer players are going to find a great benefit to them, but experienced players might not. But it's a starter ship, so you know, players who are new to the game, having auto gimbals is going to make combat a bit easier for them. There are some problems in terms of combat with this. The ship is very weak. It's got next to no armour, and its shields are pretty weak. It's got like just over 6,000 shield hit points, which is not a lot at all. A couple of hits and your shields will be down. Also, a problem that perhaps a lot of Mustang owners know is the weapons themselves are actually quite exposed on the underside there. You know, they stick out from the turret, and obviously if you start engaging a target, the chances are you're going to be engaging them from the front. You know, whether you're charging at them or coming at them, you're going to be facing them, of course. And if they manage to get a bunch of shots off at you while you're like charging at them, chances are your weapons are going to get hit, and they're very prone to getting damaged. A lot of the time I'll always find that if I'm in combat and I take a couple of hits to the front, my weapons get damaged, and what happens when your weapons are damaged is it reduces their rate of fire. So basically you don't want to take any hits in this. You want to use its speed and maneuverability to outmaneuver your opponent, get in their blind spots and just fire at them until their shields go down and they get destroyed. But yeah, you don't really want to tank. Even if you upgrade your shields, I still would recommend just using your speed to get behind an opponent, get round them, whatever you need to do to get in their blind spot, and then take them out that way. Also, another problem is because it's weak, you'll find that wings, not too frequently if you pick your engagements, but you know, if you're a new player, maybe you're just going to attack everything you see, and you're going to find that these sort of wings on the back of the engines here, they can very regularly get shut off, as can the engines, the wings. There's a lot of like weak spots on the Alpha because there's lots of like sticky out bits, and yeah, they're easy to just lob off basically, especially if you're fighting more powerful ships like a Cutlass. I've come across lots of Cutlass with like the scatter guns and stuff, and yet they easily just rip off the wings at close distances, so that can definitely be a pain. And obviously, should your weapons get damaged or your wings get damaged, it costs a lot to repair them, which isn't too much of a problem at the moment because you can simply just destroy the ship and get a new one and wait 5 minutes, and that costs you nothing, rather than having to pay for the money to get the fuel and the ship repaired. Also, because the standard default has laser weapons, you don't have to worry about refueling, rearming, which for a new player is kind of good. One less thing to worry about when you're starting out the game. And of course you can always switch to ballistic weapons should you choose, but I think it's good to have energy weapons because it's one less thing to worry about. Also, the weapons themselves don't overheat that regularly, because they don't have a high rate of fire. You pick your shots a bit more rather than just hold down mouse 1, and as a result they don't really overheat. The only reason they overheat is because you're just holding down mouse 1, but yeah, you want to pick your shots with this thing. It's got a very high cruise speed of 1160, which is plenty to get you around at sublight speeds. Its quantum drive isn't that fast, but of course it's a starter ship, so yeah, that's a trade-off that naturally is going to be applied to any smaller ship for that matter. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely the best starter ship in my opinion by far. Some of you perhaps were sold on the fact that it's worth £5 more in store credit, and if you just want to use this as a very short or temporary stepping stone to another ship, then by all means, you know, get your money's worth. But I think for a player, a starter citizen, it's just so user friendly. You know, having all the screens concise, neatly, you know, packed here, all your buttons easily laid out, it's easy to get in and out of, it's easy to just, you know, pick up and go, and it's, you know, it's very easy to just casually fly around. It's got 4 of cargo to do a little bit of cargo running to sort of get used to how the mechanics work. Its weapons aren't too half bad, to be honest, as a default loadout, and it's got room to improve should you actually like the ship and want to progress with it and keep hold of it. It's got those extra hard points should you wish to do a bit more combat, and of course you can upgrade all its other stuff like shield generators, quantum engine, that kind of stuff, should you actually want to keep this ship for a bit longer before you perhaps move on to something bigger. It obviously doesn't have a lot of health and shields, and you know, that's the downside of the Mustang, but apart from that, and not being able to tank a lot of things in it, perhaps needing a bit more expertise to pilot in combat rather than just, you know, point and strafe in one direction to try and avoid enemy fire. I think it's a great ship. It's extremely manoeuvrable as well, so if perhaps you want to see what the flying mechanics are like, especially in atmosphere, perhaps you want to see what racing may be like in the future, you know, it's so maneuverable and fast. It's going to be a much better option than a Mustang, sorry, an Aurora, if you want to, you know, get used to flying low through canyons or something. So yeah, that's it guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this has been a useful guide for a starter player, perhaps picking up on one or two things that some people I've seen in videos have missed out. But other than that, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you have a lovely day, and let me know if you want to see more of these. I will try and get another video of the Tighten Up, do it some justice, and of course we've got the Freelancer at the moment in 3.8 to play around with, so maybe a video on that will come up soon. Alright, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.